Okay, we'll begin. I guess I'll just introduce, this is Luke Day. He's the former chair of this commission. And that's Tommy Costello down there. And we've had a variety of experiences. Luke has been, was the, let me get it right, Luke, but Public Works Commissioner.
Yeah.
Quite a few years ago now, a decade ago. And
Like
Tom,
only yesterday.
yeah, and Tommy's had a lot of experience with code and other things in the city.
He
So,
was the director of code.
yeah. And Richard and I have had no formal positions in the city, but we've been into environmental matters for quite a while. So. Okay, would the secretary like to take attendance?
I should have a list of people, right? But I don't. Okay, so
I'm sorry, what do I got?
I've got a list there.
I'm afraid I've only got the
Huh?
committees.
I don't know, but
okay.
there might be some people not here.
Let's go around. Julian's here.
Yeah,
Luke.
Yeah.
Tommy, did you get a agenda that's a bit updated from what I posted?
Take it, okay. Need someone out this morning, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Tom here.
Thank you. Yes.
Scott. And who else we?
It's me, Laura.
Oh, Lori, I don't recognize you.
Oh yeah, I have a work meeting at 3 and normally my husband watches our daughter this time so I can attend, but he had to meet with his advisor. So it's been a juggling kind of day. So
Oh,
Zoom it in.
with the glasses, it's like Clark Kent and Superman, you know.
I'm glad you could make Laura.
Yeah,
By the
Me
way,
too, me too, me too.
I remember you said babysitting issue.
Yep, well thank goodness it actually corresponded with nap time. So I have the monitor here and again, a lot of juggling, but in the post-COVID world as a parent as well. So, and a working parent, but I'm here.
So Darius is not here.
he can't be,
He cannot be.
he has
So excuse.
a course conflict.
All right. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Nikita is
No.
not here. Robinson, Nikita Robinson, absent. And who else do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One more. That would be Caitlin.
Okay.
And is she excused absence?
Yeah, by the way, I'd like that category in the minutes, excused as opposed to just plain absent.
Yes.
No, I think she said she would try to Zoom.
Okay. And then we have the ex officios, which is Rebecca from the city council, not here.
Yeah.
Absent. Nikita just walked in.
Good.
Okay. And make room. Welcome, Nikita. And none of the other ex officios ever show up. Nothing changed there.
Yeah,
And we
Rebecca,
have,
she couldn't listen in today, but she will be usually.
And we have guests, if you just give your first and last name.
Eve Citro. Sarah Janice.
Our ladies,
Lottie Scully.
Bobby Scully. And
Emily Landis.
Landis, right?
Landis.
Right, Landis.
Okay,
Well,
by the way, just for your sake, I did invite Denise. But,
I did, she said she got sick, she was attending the time.
okay. All right, minutes. Any corrections to the minutes? I did ask that Denise name be correctly spelled. She has two
Two
S's.
S's.
And Laura,
Yes, that was corrected, Julian.
thank you. Did you post it anywhere or send it to city council?
I sent it to the clerk.
Good, okay.
You all, well, I sent it around to the commission too. It
Yes,
should be on the city website. I'll double check that.
yeah, okay. I didn't see it actually, but city website has got a lot of.
Well, you have to go to our commission's page.
Okay, any other comments about the minutes? Okay,
Motion to approve?
thank you.
Second.
Good. All in favor, or is there any more discussion? No. Okay. Everyone in favor?
I,
I count 6. Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
And Laura,
Aye.
so that's 7.
7-0, right?
Okay, where are we? Okay. Public comment. This is your great opportunity. But if you do what you want to, it's just that some people come with it to want to tell us something. But I'll just say you're all welcome, so. Okay? Well, and feel free to pipe up as we go along too. Okay, announcements. Richard, would you like to just say something about the recent EMC? The EMC, by the way, is the Environmental Management Council of Broome County.
Yes,
Once again, largely voluntary.
largely voluntary and pretty much controlled by the volunteers in the community. And also there are some ex officio members, of course, in this case from the county instead of the city. Plus environmental groups, and we have a seat on there, which I represent the commission. We have a vote and a seat on the EM.
Which Richard is.
Environmental
Okay.
EMC. Yeah, so I went to the first meeting. They only meet every 2 months. And they meet the same day that we do. So last month I went to the meeting right after this meeting, like at 5 p.m. in the library. And the next one will be after our March meeting next month, if we continue to meet on the third Thursday.
I think they are doing it every month right now. I don't know why, but
Say what?
it is every month right now. I mean,
No, they said no meeting this month.
oh,
Just,
you went, oh, I see.
they said March
Okay,
would be the
thank you.
next one.
Yep, yep.
I went in January.
You're talking January. okay.
Yes.
Yep. Of course.
So the next one is coming up in March, and basically they go around the room and everybody updates whatever they're working on, but since I've only been to one meeting, I don't have an idea of what happens from one meeting to the next, you know, I don't have that context yet. But the takeaway that I did come away with from that is that the vice chair made a point of saying that the county is looking to Binghamton to come up with solutions to the blue bag issue.
Okay.
His name was Chris.
You guys may not know, but we put all of our real garbage in blue bags. And then we have, of course, recycling buckets as well. But all real garbage has to go in bags. And that was something they instituted a dozen years ago.
1991.
Thank you. A little bored. Closer to
It was
25
when they
years
first
ago.
started the recycling.
Yeah,
And prior to, in 90, there was 25,000 some odd tons of municipal solid waste collected in the city. When they started the recycling the following year, it was reduced to approximately 15 to 16,000 some odd tons. So pretty
Yeah.
sizable change.
this was a financial gain for the city because we are charged by the county so much for whatever it is. Ton, yeah, of garbage, so
Plus, it's less collection, less garbage going to the county landfill.
So, aside from representatives of the groups, there are just people from the community who are interested in the environment, and there's a student from Binghamton University, student from high school students. It's a county-wide group. And we meet at the library at 5 p.m. every other month on the third Thursday.
One more thing about the blue bags, it seems to be a hot topic because a lot of it is based on economics. A lot of people say that some people can't afford blue bags. Because that only pays for part of the tipping fee of what the city collects and the blue bag fees. People have to buy them. So what happens, some of the people, if you're tight on your budget, they don't have the money to put in bags, which is understandable. My personal take on it is, let's figure out a way to subsidize them and get them the blue bags for free. City of Cortland did away with the blue bags. I went with a couple council people and somebody else. We went up to Cortland, talked to the mayor, see how that worked out for them, doing away with their blue bag program. And he thought it was great, him personally being a landlord amongst other things, because it's cleaned up, a lot less code violations. The city was much cleaner. There was less, debris and garbage thrown around the streets. But it also went to the county. It almost doubled in how much waste went to the landfill. They didn't seem that concerned about it because basically the county just directly bills in the real estate tax, the homeowners. So it kind of takes the city out of the economic factors. And usually elected representatives, my experience is if it isn't coming directly out of tax money, they don't mind whatever you do. They just look at what they want to be able to say, well, we lowered your taxes. Or we didn't raise your taxes. Here,
We didn't raise them as much as we.
here the homeowners and property owners pay the difference of what the blue bags don't cover. They only pay the tipping fee actually at the landfill, not the cost of collection, which is way more than probably 4 or 5 times what it costs for the tipping fee. If the garbage trucks collection then get that. But anyway,
Yeah.
the recycling is a big thing.
Just to speak to a point you made, it's like, I think the general public would really grossly underestimate how much material that would otherwise go to the landfill people hoard on their property because it costs them money to get it.
If you just
One
put out
way or
anything you
another.
want at any given time.
It's like if you had superpowers and you could actually see all the garbage that's like resident, I guess is how I would put it. So on a couple occasions, we've had free collection and it's like after the
Yeah.
flood, and it's just astonishing amount of stuff that just
All right.
appears out of nowhere, basically.
Anyway, we can get on to that topic another time.
Amazing to see whole big sofas go into
Oh,
those
yeah.
trucks.
Before we move on, Richard, not to continue on that point, but with the EMC, are they really looking to, are those the pain points they're looking to talk about, like the cost factor mixed with, we don't want to just get rid of them, of course, like are they kind of looking to strategize a solution? Is that what the EMC is doing? Are they just expressing grievances at this point?
They're just expressing that, I think they're expressing their own perplexity. And just wanting us to make a move and show them direction.
Hmm.
Sounds like people are complaining to them or to the county. Or
More
say-
on that financial due to the cost. Okay. Because I know on a side comment, Luke, we had mentioned something about adding them to like food bank distribution. So it
Sure.
does get to low cost. So potentially this could be an item that we discuss at a future meeting, maybe next month, and talk about some of the pros and cons of doing so, if they
Well,
want to make a motion on it.
It did come up in our legislative committee also. We discussed putting that as one of our task forces, the blue bags. Another one for zoning and planning in case something comes up as it did last year. So that we'll have a committee in place, and we won't have to be appointing people. And we can work in between meetings so that the process can be sped up. That was the whole purpose of that committee.
Another thing that's missing is, when the city first started the Blue Bag program, there was a public education component to it. And that's another thing that's like gone by the wayside. Like my neighbors are interim tenants. They have blue bags. They're blue bags. They're not city blue bags. So they put the garbage out on the curb and then they get a sticker that says it's illegal. They bring it back to their house. Then they put it back out again and they don't understand. We're putting it out in blue bags. It's like, or they don't know what day to put it out. You would be astonished how many people don't know what day their garbage is supposed to go out. There's just no effort to educate the public that I'm aware of.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's something we need to look at. Shall we discuss that at a future meeting as an item to discuss, or shall we refer it to one of our committees,
Well,
like the legislature?
yeah, I would suggest that we didn't want to actually set up the task forces, but we brainstormed and we named them, and I think we're going to set them up, and especially I was going to suggest this later in new business, but we could, well, let's use the next item. We could incorporate the blue bag paper from Hamzi's group, Hamzi's students.
Yeah.
He covered blue bags, he covered green infrastructure and zoning, and he also covered transportation issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the transportation issues, I think there were 3 papers that were pertinent to that, and the other
Yeah.
papers, I think legislative committee. can
Good,
handle.
okay, good. I'll move then that the legislative committee take up that, take up the blue bag issue.
Okay, second,
Reasonable?
I would
Good.
like to beat that issue to death,
Yeah,
personally.
good. Good.
all in favor?
Yeah.
I,
Opposed? No.
I gather you on Zoom are hearing well, are you? Speak up.
yes, I am.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Good. Okay. All right. So, yeah, good. The next just announcement I was gonna make is that yesterday, I put up a whole 5 papers from a course taught by Professor Holmesy at the university, who some of you might know. He's actually in public administration, but well, and is sort of the sustainability point man there. So, and what he did is he put teams of students in one of his classes onto 5 different subjects, and which we just mentioned, like bikes and garbage. And they came up with sort of some ideas for what the city might do. So I posted those for us to read at some point and just glean ideas from. Holmesy was quite sort of modest. He said, look, these are student papers. They basically said they didn't know everything, but they worked hard. And so I think that's well worth our attention.
Yeah, there are some good ideas. I read them a while back.
Good.
There's
Oh,
some good
good.
ideas.
Yeah. Luke actually, I think, put Holmesy up to it.
Well, no, he was doing it. We had a discussion over some coffee about possible topics.
Uh-huh.
And the students actually picked the topics. There was a couple I had preference on, which didn't meet the interest level, but that's good. Maybe in the future.
Okay. I thought I heard something, but anyway, any other announcements? Nikita.
Last weekend I was in Albany for a legislative conference, and there's vendors that are there, and I've met with somebody from the DEC, and I'll touch base with her, but like we were talking about different things like in the state and in the Binghamton area, and there are some things that could be relevant for us with public outreach. So I'll connect further with her and then bring things back to the
Okay.
committee.
Okay. You've got particular points, put them up on Basecamp, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Basecamp, by the way, is the way we communicated, so that's a sort of special system for,
It's like project,
like what,
project software.
right? Okay, any developments, Luke, on open meetings?
Unfortunately, yes.
Uh-oh.
I had requested, there's a group in Albany made up of different attorneys, officials. It's called the Committee on Open Government. So I had requested, because I personally felt it overly cumbersome, the opens meeting law as far as our subcommittees and like on different specific topics, as far as meeting, that you have 2 or more people, you have to post the time and date of the meeting, the agenda. You have to have a recording of the minutes of the meeting, rather than an informal just meeting and talking about topics. So I sent them the commission. They're part of the city charter that enables this commission. And there's the power behind it, or the legislation behind it, that originally created this commission for the authority for city council to appoint committee members. And what the Committee on Open Government said was that any entity for which a quorum is required in order to conduct public business, and which consists of 2 or more members performing a governmental function for the state, or for any agency or department thereof, or for a public corporation as defined in section 66 of the general construction law, or committee or subcommittee or other similar body consisting of members of such public body or an entity created or appointed to perform a necessary function in the decision-making process, which quorum is required in order to conduct public business, and which consists of 2 or more members. Public officers law. Based on the membership and duties of the City of Binghamton Commission for the Conservation of the Environment, as described in Article 9 of the city charter, the commission itself is a public body, which I wasn't arguing that point. Accordingly, any committees or subcommittees of the commission would also be public bodies, subject to the various requirements of open meetings law. So I guess, at least for now, case closed. So we do have to abide by that if we have committee or subcommittee meetings or whatever we're gonna do.
Okay, this actually came up to the Shade Tree Commission too. And, but one of my, well, I'll say my problems is that we don't make real decisions. We just make recommendations.
We are being regulated and we have no authority.
Yes,
We're just advisory committee. We don't change any laws. We don't make any laws. We're an advisement committee, basically, with the city council and the city if they so wish. But we're all appointed by city council, not the mayor. And
okay,
the only body that is only picked by city council.
okay. So what that means then is that committees have to,
Abide by the rules.
yeah, announce meetings and publish an agenda.
As we've been doing.
Yes. I
Yes,
know.
we didn't know.
No, we've
We
been
didn't know,
following
yeah,
until we
yeah.
got we've
Right.
been following to a T.
Yeah.
Thanks for looking into that, Luke.
If
Yeah.
you're in the federal government and you're on the right side of things, you do not have to follow any of these regulations whatsoever.
Yeah, I hear you.
And he can't really be fired
That's just my personal opinion, but
as a volunteer.
anyway, enough of that.
Okay, well, thanks, Luke, very much.
Sure.
This has taken us, I don't know, half a year to come up with. So, okay. I don't, the next item is city council action on city water fluoridation. I can just report that the, Broome County Director of Medical Health, excuse me, that's not he's the physician on the Broome County Health Department. Talked to the Municipal and Public Affairs Committee, actually at my urging, to just discuss the relevance of that to city population. We had passed a motion that the city should drop fluoridation. And the issue was that fluoride actually is in larger amounts is a hazard. It does at levels greater than about 2 parts per million in city waters, it's been shown to have problems. We fluoridated the rate of 0.7 parts per million. And what he basically said was that, and did you listen to that, Richard?
It wasn't posted.
Well, yeah, no, I urged Sam to post it, and she finally got it posted.
Oh, she did?
About
Okay.
noon today.
Oh, well, there
See
you
if you
go.
can find it. But,
I would be here in my birthday suit if I had listened to it.
Yeah, anyway, what he basically said is that it's had a very good history in the past of remedying dental caries in populations, particularly in children. And actually, he said that it's one of the best public measures, health measures that has come up. And I'm, by the way, just paraphrasing, I'm not making this up. But he did say that that's all well and fine. Oh, excuse me, let me just say that he mentioned the issue of toothpaste. Toothpaste now has fluoride in it. And so anyone who uses toothpaste regularly has got that defense against caries in teeth. But the issue that I was worried about, frankly, and a couple of others of us, was that there isn't a less affluent population, and particularly in the city, actually, in the surrounding villages, etc. It's perhaps not such a problem like Vestal, which is obviously more affluent. So, and what he basically said is that that there is that population in the city, and that he had talked to dentists who do public health work, and they say that it's a necessity or desirable, let me put it that way. And so that's where he left the city council. Actually, it was the Municipal Public Affairs Committee, and I don't think city council has taken up the issue yet, but they should. They may just sort of look and say, well, we'll leave it the way it is. But they should, I think they should make a definitive statement, at least back to us, because we did vote in favor of it, so.
5-4.
So, yeah, 5-4. We didn't have a fight, but we had some arguments here. Anyway, that's where that sits at the moment, and I will inform the commission when I hear from city council officially about what they consider to be the issue.
Okay,
By the
if I
way,
could just have a minute. I would like to say that the Environmental Protection Agency usually, in fact, they are compelled to have a 10-fold buffer between where there's an adverse effect and the actual levels that are acceptable, unless they have scientific proof that they should lower that to a lower multiple. And if you're saying that 1 to 2 parts per million could be a problem, but not 0.7, that's definitely not a margin of safety enough. And the other issue I want to just address, to rebut what the health commissioner, or whatever his name is, said. The environmental health issue is really, the environmental justice issue is really against fluoridating the water, because it is the poor mothers that cannot afford to have non-fluoridated water if they're going to be bottle feeding their babies, and also during pregnancy. And to say that they can't afford toothpaste, well, we have $30,000 that we spend yearly on fluoridation. We could buy some tubes of toothpaste to give to the poor.
Okay, I would add that he said that the alternative would be to mount a major public health campaign, but he did say also they don't have the money or the person power to do that. So,
Maybe they can get a grant, but you know, Scotland did it. They have something called the Child Smile Program.
But you're also talking about countries that have universal healthcare and dental care,
Yeah,
whereas we don't
yeah.
have that here.
That's right, and so we don't have the healthcare to take care of the adverse effects of fluoride.
But I'm saying, but you can't compare what they're doing with dentistry in a country where they have access to that, where we don't, like, people don't have access to here. So that's apples and oranges. So you can't say we can do something that we don't have the same resources for here and people don't have access for here.
We have access.
We don't have universal health care.
No, we don't.
We don't have universal dental care. And
No.
even what's dental here is subpar, especially for
definitely.
people that
We talked
have
about that
yes,
last
but
meeting.
people on Medicare and Medicaid,
Uh-huh.
it's bad.
No,
And there are not even enough Medicaid dental providers here in our area. And then when the dentists do provide healthcare here for people that are low income, it's once a year. And people have to travel. So for example, if there's a dental office in Endicott, you have to take not Endicott, Endwell, and that's once a year. You have to go all the way to Endwell, and it's first come, first serve. You have to get there first thing in the morning, and the slots fill up like that. And most people that are going are people that have cars. And it's not only people, there's no restriction that you have to be, you know, under a certain income level to go. So there are people that have money that go to it, that can go. So that's not accessible to people that, if the buses can even get there early enough to get them there before the slots fill up. So you can't compare us to Europe.
But it's
and-
swallowing
and-
a toxic.
But
substance is
doctors
not the
doing
answer.
something once a year,
We need better
that's
health
not
care.
yeah,
accessible
what I would say,
either.
yes, sir.
I would just like to make, not to cut it
Yeah.
off the conversation, but I would like to make a recommendation is that this topic get referred either back to ecotoxicology or the legislative committee.
Well, we have two people here that are
To
interested
further,
in working
to
on
further
that
the
issue.
conversation with city
Okay.
council or anything, because
Yeah,
not that it's not an important topic, but there are thousands of topics. And we have put a lot of discussion time into
we
this
need
one
to get a
topic. So
executive
if
summary.
we could put it back to a
Yes,
smaller
okay.
group instead of at the large meetings, because there's a lot of things I think.
Okay.
Different interests.
Okay, so you're basically moving to do that,
Yeah,
okay?
and I, like I said, I don't know if we would move it back to the legislative committee at this point or back to ecotoxicology
It
committee.
came from Eco Talk.
Or-
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
back
think
there.
at this point it moves to the legislative because Ecotox did the research and now the
research.
legislative committee
Yeah.
can put it together into a package.
Could I interject?
Sure.
Are we looking for a solution that will work then for the city? Is that the reason to go back to one of the committees?
Well, the reason is to not take up too much more time of the commission meetings.
Yeah.
That's my main purpose.
So if it goes back to the ecotoxicology committee, which I'm on, and Darius,
In the city council's court at this point, right? I mean, the
Yeah,
recommendation has
well-
been made by the council. I mean, we had our vote. We've gone through the paperwork, we've gone through the research. I know Nikita's new and has some strong opinions and ideas and also basis. So if it wants to be rehashed, then bring it back to ecotoxicology. But if you just want to look at it as a legislative point of you want city council to bring it to a head and vote on it or not vote on it or whatever they want to do. I'm just thinking that as far as commission wide, I don't see at this time continuing the discussion.
Yeah,
On
Yeah,
our
Make your point, Lou.
at our monthly meetings.
No, unless the city council.
And I'm not
gets,
saying not having a base camp or other.
Puts it on their agenda and wants us to weigh in on it again.
Yeah,
You know, we have
absolutely.
something to work with.
We can always
Right.
do research for them or whatever they would like.
No, I agree, because you don't want to keep beating a dead horse and like the same conversations.
Yeah, and some of it, you know, you can look at the same data and still come up with different opinions.
Yeah, I would say a couple of other things. First of all, listen to Dr. Garing's talk. You have to search for municipal and public affairs February 10th. And but it is up there now. Somehow I found it after a while, but there's an awful lot of other things on there. And by the way, that's on the City of Binghamton website. The second thing is just any of us can lobby our council people. Do any of you live in the city proper? I mean, is your residence in the city? Yeah, so you have well, at least
Oh, wait, of Binghamton or like New York City?
Binghamton,
Oh, no, no, sorry.
yeah, okay. Anyway, we all are residents of the city by definition, and so you can always lobby your council member and tell them what you think.
Who lives on Oak Street?
I do.
Yes, she's a resident.
Yeah.
Lottie is a resident.
Sure.
She's on the west side.
Actually, anyone can talk to a council
Well,
member,
yeah.
but if you're an actual constituent, it counts a lot more. So Luke, let me get this clear. Are you saying we refer it to Eco Talks if city council comes back to us?
Yes,
Okay. So that's the motion. Okay.
second by Tom.
Who's, sorry, second.
Why do we need that? I mean, don't we automatically entertain anything that the city council comes back to us with?
Sure, yeah,
So I don't see the point.
well,
Well, the point is to end the discussion here for now.
Yeah.
At these meetings, on a monthly meeting. That's my.
Well, it was on the agenda. I don't see why, just don't put it on the agenda next.
Fair enough.
so, okay,
But
But I
it's on
think
the
I'll-
agenda because it was on the agenda because there
Yes.
was an update.
So to your point, I think there's a difference between bringing an update versus you hashing out what's already been hashed out. So that's the difference. You can bring an
Right.
update without having to go back into the debate, because
open
all the points that
discussion.
you talked about before were points that you've already brought up
Well,
before.
I don't think we want to hear a one-sided version without.
But you've already,
a-
but they were just bringing an update, and Dr. Shepherd was saying that the meeting was up, and like he did bring an update of, because meeting was supposed to happen before.
yeah,
And-
that's all I was doing, it's just, I wasn't going to argue the point anymore, I'm just quoting what, Dr. Garing said.
Yeah, I was arguing the points.
But you've already argued it extensively, even before I came here and like since I've come to meetings. And so I think you've made your point, and like as Dr. Shepherd said, the city council already has the recommendation, which is what you want is for the chlorination to come out. So I think we can have updates without getting back into the debate.
Okay, so.
I took
I
1
vote-
minute to counter 2 points. I don't see what the big deal is here.
What do you want, what would you propose? Do you like
It's not a big deal.
Luke's motion? He's
It's
just
not
I
a
said,
don't like the motion. I mean, look, I listened to your blue bag spiel
I'll
for 10 minutes. for God's
I'll
sakes.
withdraw the motion
All right.
and just in the future,
Jeez.
okay,
not on the agenda unless other than just an
Okay.
update, and then it's solid.
All right.
Update.
okay. All right, let's move on. Committee reports. Richard, who's the legislative committee? Did you sort of elect
Yes, we did.
and was it you?
Yes.
Good,
So the first meeting was on February 8th, which was on a Saturday, just 2 days, less than 2 weeks ago. And we elected a chair and secretary. I was elected chair. And Shreyash was elected secretary. And we talked about the purpose and brainstormed, and I should say Sarah was a guest at that point. She was not a committee member yet, but hopefully today she will be. We talked about the purpose and we brainstormed on task forces, as I alluded to earlier. We talked about zoning, planning, and blue bag issues among those that were suggested, but we did not take a formal vote on it. We wanted to wait, think about it and wait till the next meeting to take a formal vote and set up those task forces. But that's how it started. And like I said, Sarah was a guest at that one. But it was me and Shreyash, and Caitlin was not able to come, and she has since told us that she will not be around for a few months.
Yeah, I should have said originally that she has a sick mother, I think it was, that she has to commute somewhere to I guess some distance away, and so she would be just out of town for quite a
So I'm
while.
gonna add excuse to her absence.
Yeah, good.
That's about it for the legislative. We had our, launch and we set up shop, basically.
Good. Outreach and education.
Outreach, we had our first meeting of 2025, just the day before that. And we got some new interest. 3 of the people in this room were at that meeting. And we talked about, finding out what the community is interested in and doing a combination of informing them of issues that are concerning the city, as well as issues that they may be concerned about, to set up a dialogue and give presentations. For example, similar to what we did at the South Side Neighborhood Group, which I attended 2 days ago, and I'm now a guiding member of that group also. The 2, I should say, I want to just mention briefly that the 2 city council members were there, and both of them brought up blue bag issues. So I think that is an issue that we need to deal with.
Good.
That's all I have to say about that committee, really.
Okay.
It's growing.
Yes. Good. We'll discuss that in a bit. Eco Talks.
Eco-toxicology committee was also a committee with new people showing an interest. The fluoridation issue was discussed. I just wanted to mention briefly that we've talked briefly before about the decision that was made in September by the federal judge, and just like a few days before President Biden left office, his Justice Department filed an appeal on that, and there's going to be a conference with the judge set for 2/26 of this month. So that's the update on the fluoridation. And it's possible that the new EPA administrator may handle it differently than the outgoing Biden administration. So we'll have to see what happens with that later this month. Scott received no return call from Jeff regarding setting up a meeting to have a water
Or the water plant, yeah.
water treatment plant tour. Go ahead, Scott, chime in.
Well, then I called yesterday and talked to whoever answered the phone, said I haven't heard back from Jeff, and they said they would pass on the request for the tour. So, but I haven't heard back from Jeff with other things I've called him on, so I'm just not getting any cooperation from him. Now, Luke, you know Jeff Kruger, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any sense of maybe why he's not interested in calling me? I identify myself as with the commission.
I'm guessing maybe the mayor said not to correspond
guess.
with anybody.
Okay. So maybe we should go to the mayor's office to say we want to.
Yes, well, I think maybe we should discuss it with city council members. Ask them what they think about it first.
And Scott is also looking for information regarding the PFAs or PFOs.
Well, we got that.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's basically the Olmsted well, right, Scott?
Well, no, that was a third issue. So I think we settled the PFAS issue. I mean, it's more prevalent in the Olmsted well. They meet the standards. They take readings for that 4 times a year. And they did report the readings. I misinterpreted initially how it was getting reported in the let me back up. They reported it in the water quality report, but they didn't have the readings for each of the 4 times they took it. So that's what I got when I had a foil, and I got those readings then. The Olmsted well, I think we settled that even though it's contaminated, they have to have an active backup water source for the city, and that's what that provides. And not a very good water source, but they're meeting the requirement to have that.
If you had a large fire where you, for some reason, didn't have water, it would serve that purpose,
Yeah.
for one thing.
Would that well be able to be retired if they go through with this proposal to mix the waters of Johnson City and Binghamton?
Well, I don't know. I mean, that proposal, I think, is not currently being pursued, though, isn't it?
Not yet, no. But that might give it a reason to be pursued. Another reason to be pursued. Okay. That's about all we have for the ecotoxicology committee.
So, Luke, I mean, I could contact my city council person to say we're not getting response from Jeff Kruger. Is that a good thing, or I mean?
Well, I would ask them if they could request a walkthrough for the commission members that are interested in going on a tour of the plant. If it comes from city council, it might hold a little more sway.
So what's the route we take for that? We have to make a formal request of city council.
I don't know how formal it has to be. I was just asking.
Or any kind of request then.
Yeah, I mean, if Rebecca was here, I would just ask her.
Yeah.
Or I would ask Mike Dunlap.
Well,
he used to be.
yeah, maybe Rebecca's the way we should go. Let me
I would say so. She's on the commission.
I'll ask her if she can.
She's our point person.
Yeah. Okay.
And I would just add that Hadassah is always interested.
And in the meantime, I'll see if I can find anything out myself.
Okay.
Good. Okay, I had other down there. I just wanted, it occurred to me, I had a communication from somebody named Jan Marcy, who actually I think is a retired pastor, but she's a master gardener with Cooperative Extension. And they have actually have a program. I've lost its exact name, but it's sort of building on blocks. It's something like that. And
I'm sorry, Dr. Shepard. I'm also a Master Garden intern. It's Blocks in Bloom.
Thank you.
You're
Yeah, and they've actually already set up a couple of gardens. One's on Liberty Street and one's on Lorraine Avenue in the city. But that sort of pertains to what we were talking about a little bit on the forgotten the whole name of us, the national, we have a Native Gardens task force, and Tommy down there is sort of the chair of it. And so I'm just mentioning that Jan was quite interested in sort of talking with actually this South Side Neighborhood Association, but of which I'm a member because I live on the south side. And so I think maybe we could further our discussions in that task force by maybe getting and Marcy to come and talk to us a bit just about what they're doing, what their vision is. Does that sound reasonable, Tommy?
Sure. I was gonna ask you after the meeting if we could have a subcommittee meeting on the 27th possibly of February.
Sure,
Okay,
yeah,
I'll follow that one. Thanks.
good.
Also, I mentioned it at the South Side Assembly meeting a few days ago, and Carol Hawley told me that she got an email, or she had been in contact via email with some woman, but she couldn't remember the name. Maybe it was Jan, I'm not sure. But they can certainly use some help because there was only one person handling that little garden in front of the auto zone there. And they were interested that we talked about that at the I mentioned it at Tom's meeting, the first meeting last time.
Just very briefly, you guys might be interested to know what a neighborhood association is. It was actually set up 15 years ago under the city administration at that time. They sort of had neighborhood associations set up in different parts of the city. And a number of them are inactive now, but a couple of them are still active. And one is the South Side. South Side means south side of the Susquehanna, in case you wondered. And the idea is they sort of become just a public forum for any kind of issues that come up in their neighborhood.
Yes, and originally there was one set up for each council district, but a couple of them have merged because the numbers started to dwindle. So the south side now contains 2 council districts, and there's another one on the west side that also merged 2 together. So there might be like 5 instead of 7. And as Julian pointed out, of different levels of activity.
Yeah. Okay, is there any other previous business that anyone would like to bring up? Okay, let's move on to the nominate and vote for new community committee members. Community committee means, I guess, any one of our committees, right?
Yes,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah. And I presume it was you who was going to propose.
Yes, okay. Yes, I would like to nominate Yves Citron. Can I do it all at once or each
Sure.
one individually?
Yeah.
Sarah Chimides, Lottie Scully, and Emily Landis to be committee members.
Which,
Well, 2 of them are legislative.
oh,
They're different committee members,
okay,
but they've been to meetings, so they know where they belong.
yeah. Okay, any comments from you guys? You'd like to see that happen?
Yeah, I'd also potentially be interested in the new committee that you discussed in terms of the native gardens, just because I was
Oh.
thinking about doing a policy paper on expanding like sustainable agriculture.
Okay.
So
Well,
that'd be really cool to.
that's good. Yeah, Tommy is the chair of that.
Tom,
I'm a member. And Nikita is a member, yes. So, yeah, did you note that in the minutes, sir?
what?
That she would like to be on the, yeah, thank you.
I'm recording everything, just to be sure.
Yeah. So we need to take a vote on that.
So which
Laura
committee
said she
specifically
had
does
to
everybody
leave,
want to be
yeah.
on?
I'm the legislative committee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Eco-toxicology.
No, legislative.
Okay.
And originally legislated.
Which, Sarah, did you say?
Legislative.
Legislative, okay. Yeah. Okay, any discussion? Oh, okay, in favor?
I,
Aye.
Okay. 6-0.
oh, Laura had to leave.
Good, thank you. I hope you enjoy. And as a teacher, I hope you learn. Okay, any other business, new business?
Can I ask a question of you guys? Did you say you're from Broome Community College?
No,
Binghamton.
Oh, Binghamton. So, do you have access to the county GIS system? I mean, it's public access, but have you ever heard of that? So it's a, there's a public interface, there's a back end to it too, but there's a public GIS interface. Trying to remember the exact.
Go Broome.
Huh?
Go
Yeah,
Broome.
Go Broome.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
Go
you might
Broome
wanna take
GIS.
a look at that,
Just
because
Google it.
you can look at a lot of different information that the county maintains graphically that's relevant to the city. Would be relevant to
Properties, things like that.
help you, especially if you don't know the city very well. Like you could query like vacant land or single family homes, floodplains, like that map. It's basically available, yeah. That's the inundation map from 2011. But it's gonna become, that's one of the things I'm gonna talk about at our next meeting. I was supposed to have a meeting with Doug English to see what back end services he could provide towards our project in terms of like. When you say vacant land, for example, there's really many different types. There's probably 24 different categories. Of
He's the
vacant land.
IT person at the county.
So. That's all.
good, thanks. I have a slight problem with that. You referred us to 2 points on that website. One was a map, which I could download, but I couldn't see the list of places. And the map
No,
was,
that tool, I may have misled you, but the way I said it, but. That's what, there are features that like Doug could provide or his staff could provide,
oh, I
if
see.
you know what
Okay.
to ask for, but they're not necessarily on the public interface.
Yeah, it wasn't on the.
Right, and so it's like, say you want a tabular expression of the graphic. You did a query on vacant land. And when I say vacant land, as it's identified in the zoning law, so it has a key number. And then it would show you these plots, but then. If you email Doug, you could say, could you give me a table of that, so I could, get it in an Excel spreadsheet or whatever, and play with it that way, but that's. That's what I'm talking about,
Good,
yeah.
thanks. Yeah, just perhaps to make it clear, that's the county website, which goes under the name of Go Broome County, right? And then just look for GIS.
But one other thing, I've worked in my, working for the city. The geography department at BU has a tremendous GIS resources. But it doesn't always seem like they're coordinated with like the city's resources and the county's resources in terms of like being able to actually do work. Like they'll share information, but if you want to do work, which we're trying to do in this community, that's where we need to develop relationships.
Good, thanks, Tony. Any other issues? Yes, sir.
New business, I had a pretty lengthy conversation with one of the council people that called me about the pending Siemens Energy Performance contract
yeah.
that they're looking to do. Which they currently don't have. And I think as far as the climate action plan that the city has done. Was updating somewhat. The Siemens Energy Performance contract may be quite helpful for that because they tracked all the energy use for all the buildings and different resources, and they may have room to ask for other services by Siemens. When I worked here 12 years ago, We'd have a contract with Siemens and they would do stuff like the mechanical rooms in different buildings, City Hall and places like update the drives, the pumps and different things to make them more energy efficient. Also, they had access on the stationary engineers in charge of maintenance for the building and capital projects for the building. As far as he could look at energy uses in real time on different systems and print out a report for you or whatever you need. So you could actually track your energy usage. So if you're doing a project, like say you wanted to replace the windows in City Hall that really need to be done, but it's very expensive. You look at like how much energy is that going to save? What's it going to cost? Because there's always the factors, you know, all the energy stuff, climate stuff sounds good. When it comes down to at the end of the day, it's voters, it's about what's it cost. You know, can we afford it, can we not afford it? That's usually what ends up being done. So you have to look for savings, not only in energy usage, but finances. So hopefully that's something that council, I recommend we talk to stationary engineer, and also long-term look at, you know, City Hall, the building itself actually viable. Because these buildings were built in like 70, 71, along with the state office building, along with the county office building, lots of vacant space in all three of these buildings. And, you know, as things go forward, how many government officials you're gonna have, not have, you need the space. Why are you heating and air conditioning spaces that nobody's using? And structurally, these buildings are deteriorating quite a bit. There's been lots of historical issues. PCBs leaked over in the state office building, which was closed for like 2 years, almost 2 years at one point. And it was a very expensive disaster in the cleanup and health issues from people working there. All kinds of things that most people have forgotten about, because it's like late 70s, early 80s. But so a lot of environmental issues right where we're sitting.
Yeah.
As far as what we're surrounded by.
You put that up about, 3 or 4 months ago. Was it on base camp?
I
assume?
think so.
Yeah,
I think so. So Siemens Energy can't, anyways,
So
they'll
was
come
there a
down.
role for us in that process or?
Well, the role for us, to me anyway, would be to ask city council, which I did when I spoke to the member that contacted me, was ask for certain things in the contract so that you could get reports, so they are tracking the energy use. And I don't know if they'll do it or not, but maybe the fuel system, and I mean, they're capable. Siemens is a global, huge conglomerate. I mean, they're capable of doing most anything you want them to do, but at a cost. So what they do is they're going to guarantee you X amount of savings, energy-wise, by performing some capital improvements and projects, monitoring your equipment, how it's used. And they'll say that, and they of course do financing, which politicians love that because they don't have to go back to the taxpayers per se, or they may have to bond for something. But this way they don't have to bond for it. If Siemens contract's approved, Siemens holds the paper on the project, and how they get paid back is through the energy savings. You know, they'll say your bills would have been this price because you used this many kilowatts or this many therms of gas, but now you're using this amount. So that difference in what that would cost at that time, this is what's paying for your project. You know, so there's pros and cons. I mean, there's no free lunch. Siemens isn't doing it because they're worried about the environment or concerned, or they're doing it to make money. But they are capable of doing the projects. It's a matter of monitoring.
So can I restate that again?
Sure.
Well, the purpose of the energy performance program dates back to the 1970s, when there was an energy crisis and people couldn't afford, like the city of Binghamton couldn't afford to pay their energy bills. And these companies got legislation passed that said, you're not able to bond to make these improvements. You're not able to borrow money to make these improvements. But we know if we make the improvements on your behalf and we finance it for you, you're going to realize savings over a certain period of time. So it's like buying the future. And they take, of course, a significant piece of that savings. But the advantage you get is instead of waiting for 20 years to try to become more energy efficient, you can become energy efficient now. And then realize those savings over time. So it's quite a different today than it was in the 70s, but that's basically was a way to get municipalities and county governments, local governments out of a trap. They were in a trap because they couldn't pay the energy bills. They couldn't finance the improvements they needed. So they went to private companies like Siemens. They made a deal.
And it will reduce greenhouse gas, so that's a good thing.
Yeah. The city does have a climate action plan, and this would be, it seems to me, a very helpful asset for it. Should we, well, let me suggest a motion to city council that we just say that it sounds good. Would they please consider it seriously? What I mean is they could look at the finances.
Well, they are looking.
What?
They are.
They are,
Yeah.
okay,
There again, I think we take that to our representative.
okay,
So Luke,
Okay,
do you know
Rebecca.
which committee is handling that?
Probably finance. That would be my guess.
okay, okay. So no official sort of motion at the moment from the conservation.
I don't think so.
Okay,
I mean, I think we bring it up to Rebecca and.
Okay. so we talked to our council members.
Yeah.
I sort of think that seems to me a no-brainer. I originally said, but
The devil's in the details.
yes,
Just the
yes,
fine print of what, my philosophy is get as much as you can service wise from them to reduce the greenhouse gas as much as possible.
okay,
Julian, I have a question.
no,
I know you tried very hard to accommodate everybody, and it seems like we ended up where we started, and Darius is the only one that can't make it. But what about Rebecca? Have you checked with her to see if she can make our meetings?
yes, she can.
Okay.
And frankly, I considered 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock, but that was problematic too. Changing it to a different afternoon was problematic. And I guess I felt I don't like mornings. I've got work to do in mornings and
Yeah, I've got sleep to do. Before, nothing before 10.
yeah. So, okay,
Yes.
okay, I suggest we adjourn. Do I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. Luke.
Okay. Bye, Scott.
Bye. Stay warm.